Man, what's going on, everybody? It's still alive, checking back in with y'all. Man, I wanted to get on here a little bit, and because I have a lot of people that ask me like what was growing up like, or people that'll DM me and ask me like what was high school like, or where did you grow up, like where was your childhood and this and that. So I kind of figured I'd get on here a little bit and just explain. So like from my childhood, like when I was young, I was born single wide trailer, mom and dad, they divorced when I'm real young. So my dad moves to Indiana. I'm going back and forth between Indiana, Illinois and Indiana, between my mom's and out in the country here. And my dad's in Indiana and my grandma's little house in Effingham that I would go to all the time. And that was for like the first um I would say probably like the first 9 to 11 years of my life was pretty much that, just back and forth from Indiana, Effingham to the country out here, and then single mom working 2 jobs and then eventually as I got older, like, my stepdad came into my picture and stuff, but, like, I'm talking about before that, like, eventually I stopped going down to Indiana, though, for my dad and shit, and I'm just out in the country fucking from like, I don't know, 12 to 14. I'm just doing average kid shit. I'm running around fishing, country boy shit, running around fishing, hunting, for the riding, doing all that stuff, fucking getting in trouble. 14, right in there is when we started drinking and shit. So that's when we started partying, sneaking out, running around, drinking on the four-wheelers, running from the cops all the time, like 24/7. Me and my best friends were running from the cops literally every weekend, multiple times a day. We would show up, disappear, come back 3 days later on the four-wheelers completely covered in mud, ran from the cops 5 times, went to 4 different parties, like, that was my that from 14 to 16, that was how, like, my high school started off, was just partying. So, like, freshman year and beginning of sophomore year and stuff was just strictly partying. Then going into my sophomore year, man, gotta get that tea. But then, well, backtrack a little bit. I played basketball my whole life, and then I blew my knee out and had meniscus surgery, dislocated my kneecap and all kinds of shit, and ended up having to have knee surgery my freshman year. And then from there, my sophomore year and the rest of my freshman year, I just kind of stopped giving a fuck about school because I had no reason to. Because sports was really the only reason I ever tried in school ever, for real. Like, so once sports was gone, wrong side. My camera be on the other side now, and it'd be freaking weird to me because I'm used to being over here and not over there. But so blow my knee out. I kind of just give up on school altogether. Like once my knee's blown out, by halfway through my sophomore year, I'm at an alternative school in Effingham called Aspire. I finished out my sophomore year at Aspire, and then my junior year, I made it like not even through the first quarter of my junior year back at T-Town before I got kicked out and had to go back to an alternative school again. And then I got kicked out slash dropped out, whatever you want to call it. It was pretty mutual. They were saying like, we're gonna kick you out. I'm like, okay, fine, bye. You know what I mean? And then that was halfway through my junior year. And then so I'm about 17 at that point. Um, Starting to hustle already. Like at this point, like I ain't messing with no weed. Like I'm smoking weed and shit and drinking and partying and all that. But about 17 and shit is when I started hustling other shit on like a small scale to people at parties and just, the party stuff that everybody wants when you're in high school and college. I started hustling that shit on a small scale. And then I started staying in a motel with one of my big homies, fucking in this little small town right off the side of an interstate. We lived there when I was 17. Me, him, his girlfriend, and one of my other buddies. We all stayed in there with two pit bulls, or a pit bull and American bully. We all lived in that one motel. Well, sorry, it was just Kimura at that point, I guess. So it wasn't Gelato came later. So it was just a pit bull at that point. But it was four of us and Kimura baby in there. And then So that's when I'm 17. Then we start staying at another motel, like 30 minutes away from there for a couple months. And my big homie gets a house. I start just kind of house hopping at this point because I'm 17 still. So I'm staying with him. I'm staying with other people. I'm staying at my mom's once in a while. I'm just kind of all over the place because I got my pit. So I'm bringing him everywhere with me. And from then around 17 though is when I realized like I had to stop fucking with moving what I was moving and playing with the hard stuff because that's when I just started getting into weed and moving weed. I'm a legal civilian nowadays. I don't do anything I'm talking about right now is in the past tense. But it went from Molly and blow and acid and shrooms and all that to me just strictly fucking with weed. And then once it went from weed, that's when I turned 18. I was living in the same motel that's not too far from here in the same little small town right off the interstate for like 5, 6 months. Like to this day, if you go on my Instagram and go all the way down, there's pictures of me and my dog Throttle that I still have. He's in the other room on the couch. Throttle, old ass, what you doing? Well, anyway, guess he's laying on the couch and doesn't want to get up. But anyway, yeah, like it was, there's still pictures to this day of me in that motel room, being Throttle and shit. Then I go from there. I lived there when I was 18 for about 4 or 5 months. I think I hear him. Throttle, what you doing, buddy? But I lived in the motel for 3 to 5 months when I was 18. I'm not really sure how long. It was just a couple months, 4 months, somewhere in there. And then I get my house. My my homie that I was saying that I lived with in the motel, he had a duplex that he was renting. He rented one side of the duplex while I rented the other side of the duplex. And we lived there for a year and really just ran it up with the weed. Like you would pull up to our property and there would be SRTs, motorcycles on both porches, dirt bikes, four-wheelers, SRTs, all kinds of vehicles. Like we was just running it up, being 18 and 20-year-old kids. Like we was just living life. We never seen so much money before. I touched my first 25,000 in that house. You know what I mean? Like I remember being 18, touching my first 20 bands in that crib, and I'm like, bro, I never seen high school dropout. Everybody routed counting me out, bro. We was just living life. Like we wasn't saving any of it though. That's for sure. That money was gone quick as we made it. But it was it quickly spiraled from there. But high school was more like straight partying. Like, man, like when I tell you, like, I have had to I've had and been to so many parties that were get busted by the cops and you're running through the woods for 2, 3 hours hiding while they freaking are searching with spotlights and shit. You're running from one party through the woods through down to another property that's like a mile away and partying at that house while the cops are busting the party a mile away. Like this is was a common thing growing up. Like when I was 16 and I just got my first consumption, I was on probation and shit for drinking. I had a party at my mom's house that was probably about 100 to 200 people, and they busted that with 8 to 9 cops. And like country blocks, if you know anything about living in the country, like all the roads are usually squared like blocks. So like they blocked in each road and they busted that one. I remember running through the field, calling my mom and being like, "Hey," it's because she was at the bar. I was like, "Hey, if you're drunk, don't come home. Party's being busted." She's like, "No, I'm sober." So then, like, but this was a common thing, like sneaking out on four-wheelers in the middle of the night. Like so many times, I would be coming home at 6, 5:30, 6 in the morning. My mom would be waking up, and I'd have to sneak into my room or take everything but my boxers off outside and hide it and then walk in and because my room was right next to the back door. So like I could sneak in the back door and then kind of just like walk past my room and open the door and act like I just came out from sleep and be like, damn, time is it? Like I've had to do that so many times for real. Like at 15 and 16, I used to do that shit all the time. Sneak out, sneak right back in before school starts, go get some freaking 44 ounce of Dr. Pepper, fill it halfway up with Dr. Pepper, halfway up with Captain Morgan, go to school and get fucking smoked. Like high school was just one big party for me until I got kicked out and started being like, oh shit, I got money and bills I need to pay. But before that, it was just party. And even after like 17, 18, and 19, still like I was partying all the time. But then, so back to my house in Stewartson. So from my house in Stewartson till, so how long did I live in Stewartson? I'm trying to think. So I lived in Stewartson for about a year. And eventually it got too hot to where we both had to move. We both moved at the same time. Like we just got up and both left the town. Like I moved to a different county. He moved to a different place too. Cause like they were sitting across from both of our houses 24/7, watching us 24/7. And it wasn't like we were just messing with weed, but you know, we wasn't just messing with a little bit of weed. But yeah, like I'm a businessman nowadays. This is all in the past. This is all a decade ago, but damn near. But yeah, man, for real, like we was from from my house in Stewartson, that's when for like a few weeks I stayed at my buddy's house while I was waiting on my new house to get opened up because there was a renter in it still. And then that's when I ended up buying my property from my family and shit, which it's just 2.5 acres out in the country with a trailer and a shed and nice little concrete carport and shit that's all mounted onto a concrete pad and everything. I don't mind it. I got a big ass backyard for my fucking fenced in backyard for my dogs and shit. Like, but from and then so I'd say about 6 months though after I moved, no, maybe a little bit longer, 6 months or so, 6, 7 months after I move in here, after I leave Stewartson when I'm 19, I get my car wreck and break my back. And that'll be 6 years ago in May now. So it and there's a lot more detail that can go into this and stuff. I'm just trying to kind of give a somewhat preview of or a overlook of the last 10 years of my life, kinda, like there's obviously so many stories and stuff like that. Cause like I can think of stories where I was out at like Rundy's cabin where parties would get busted and we would end up having to hide in cricks for 2, 3 hours while the cops were still looking for people, or talking about going out to Geckner's cabin out in the country that's like 4 miles from here. That's the party I was talking about when the cops busted it, and we all ran. Like, there's a trail that left from behind that was like a 2-mile trail, and if you followed that trail, it came up to these other houses, and we ended up partying at a other house 2 miles away from where the original party was getting busted. Like, there's so many stories like this. Like, I got so many stories of me getting so drunk when I was like 15, spray paint my whole body, like head to toe covered in green fucking John Deere fucking heat spray paint. That shit took forever to get taken off. Or freaking wrecking cars. I've been in so many car wrecks in my life. I've been ejected out of 2 cars in my life, once when I was 16 and then once when I broke my back when I was 19. But I've been in so many car wrecks, even not including those 2. Like, I've been in I've flipped cars. Me and my buddy flipped a car since I've been in a wheelchair and landed on the driver door was in the ditch. So like, and I was in the passenger door was in the ditch. So I had to go out the driver door. So I had to help him get out. And then I grabbed the steering wheel, pulled myself up, and my legs do this like spasm things where they like lock straight. So it kind of like helped me stand up in the car. And I'm 6'2". So like my shoulders were out the driver's side window. So he was able to grab me and yank me up out the car. But I've been in a lot of car wrecks, like a lot of car wrecks. Not all of them were my fault. Some of them were. Some of them I was driving. A lot of them I wasn't. I've been in a lot of dirt bike and four-wheeler accidents. Like dirt bike and four-wheeler riding was a big thing for me growing up. Like I flipped hella four-wheelers. I've tore my groin twice in the same spot on in KZ at Lincoln Trail Motorsports, like just on dirt bikes and stuff. Like I've been real hard on my body. Like I've broken my thumb a couple times. I've broken my nose. I don't know if you can tell. It's definitely not straight. I've broken my nose a few times. Fucking uh in my car wreck, I broke 3 ribs, dislocated all of this, broke my back in 3 places. I've had knee surgery. I just broke my ankle not that long ago. I broke this arm too. What else have I fucking broke? I'm trying to think. I broke a lot of bones in my body. I broke fingers and knuckles and stuff like that, of course, but like, trying to think, is there but then from yeah, like high school was just kind of crazy to be honest. Like see, this is the thing people don't realize about my county and my city. Like, nah, we're not a big city. Our city is only like Effingham City is only about 50,000 people inside city limits, probably. But Effingham County is freaking huge. And it has about 10 to 15 small towns and then just country everywhere around it. So it's a big county. So, like, that's why people be like, "Oh, you from a small town?" Like, this and that. Like, yeah, I'm from a small town, but it's a big county. There's a lot of people here. There's a big variety, a big diversity of people. Like, you're gonna find anywhere from your farmers to your rednecks to people that been outside getting money to the preppy neighborhoods out by the like out by Lake Sarah and the St. Anthony, and there's definitely some suburban lifestyle going on here, but then there's a lot of country lifestyle, like lots of farms and just rednecks. And I don't know, people might get offended to this because I fucking even consider myself in this category. A lot of white trash people. It is what it is. I'm proud to be from where I'm from. I'm a single white baby, and we're gonna make it to the top. It is what it is. I came up out the single wide. I still live in that single wide. Different single wide, but you know what I'm saying. I still live in a single wide, and I probably still live in a single wide, even if I get rich. I would rather have a huge property with a whole bunch of toys, like 4 of those side by sides and big ass shed and all that shit, than have some giant fucking house that I'm paying $100 million for. Like, what are we talking about? I'd rather have $100 million property with a big ass pond and everything in the world that I could possibly want to do. You know what I mean? And everything's so easy for me to get around in my chair. Like, that would be me. I'd be perfectly okay with living on a single wide on a foundation for the rest of my life. Whatever. Like, that ain't gonna affect me. Y'all can say what you want about that. Like, y'all might think that's weird. Like, who wants to live in a single wide trailer? Fuck white trash. Like, no. You realize that all I do is pay property taxes here? I own this house and property and everything, and all I do is pay property taxes, water, and electricity, Wi-Fi, and all my other bills. But I'm saying, like, I don't have rent, I don't have none of that. I don't have to have the fucking extremely high taxes that come with fucking having a big ass house and the maintenance and everything that comes with having a giant house. Like, that's why, like, when Jelly said, "When I get rich, I'm still act broke. Wake up and put on yesterday's clothes. Walk outside and Imma bum me a smoke. When I get rich, Imma still act broke." Exactly. Like, until you're to a certain point, like, there's no reason to fucking and even then, like, I don't think I would ever build me a giant mansion. Like, I think I would rather have, like, a shed house, like a nice big ass shed where most of my house is only a small part of the shed is my house. The rest of it is to do whatever I want. But yeah, growing up in a small town's cool, but like I also didn't just grow up out in the country. Like in high school and shit, I used to work on the farm on a neighbor farm down the road and shit, and he would pay me to help out around and shit like that because like I grew up on a part of where I lived for a little bit of my life was like a rental house on this old kind of rundown farm that my mom rented from somebody. And then I would work on my neighbor's farm down the road. This is when I'm like 13, 14, 15, 16 year age. Like I would work on the farm and he would pay me good for a 15-year-old. You gotta think this is 10 years ago too. So like wages were way different. But for 15 years old, I was making all the money I needed to buy cigarettes, beer, and whatever else bullshit I needed at the time. Like, but yeah, I didn't just grow up in the country though either, because like I said, I was in Effingham a lot, right? Like kind of downtown. Like my grandma's that I used to stay at all the time downtown in Effingham was just real small, 2 bedroom, like real small two-bedroom house, like, that was it. The kitchen, like, I wouldn't if I tried to go in there in my chair today, I wouldn't be able to get around the doorways and the how small the house is. There's no way I could get around, like, into the kitchen and shit, like, and into the bathroom with, like from what I remember from being there when I was a kid, there's no way I could get around that house in my wheelchair. But I never thought anything of it, though, when I was a kid, you know what I mean? Like, didn't seem small to me then, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, when I was young, I was a pretty happy-go-lucky kid, like, that wasn't what I was worried about. I could care less if my grandma had money or my mom had money or my dad had money, because like, my mom's mom or my mom's parents are dairy farmers, so they have a little bit of money, but, like, my mom was a single mom working 2 jobs. My dad was in another state. I'm bouncing around from all these people, mainly staying with my mom, of course, you know what I mean? Just me and her, but I'm bouncing from Effingham to out in the country to Indiana, and it was just all bouncing around like that for the most part, like, until I got older, and eventually I was just like, "Okay, I'm done with this. I'm done traveling all the time, like, I'm just gonna be me." And then pretty soon, few years later, I was out of the house and shit, but, like, I wouldn't trade growing up in the country for anything. A lot of people will say something about people that live in the country or grew up working on farms or grew up doing this and that. Like, I wouldn't trade growing up in the country for anything. Like, I wouldn't trade all them deer hunting adventures and deer I killed and all them fish that I caught and all that shit and all them mushrooms that I've found going mushroom hunting and all them squirrel hunting trips and all them coon hunting trips, getting raccoons and stuff, like, with dogs, like, I wouldn't trade none of that stuff, like, but that's why, like, I never understand when people try to judge somebody by the way they look because it's like, you wouldn't look at me and know I grew up working on a farm, but I really did grow up busting my ass, so you people gotta learn to stop judging people by the way they look because that shit's goofy to me. But man, it's still alive checking out. I hope everybody has a blessed day, man. Stay safe out there.